Chapter 1. The Secret Affair. Before we begin, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. This story is going to have you screaming. Trust me. Now, let's get into it. Zita Coleman pressed her back against the cold metal wall of the elevator, watching the floor numbers climb on the digital display. 32. 33. 34. Her heart raced with each ascending number, the way it always did when she was about to see him. 2 years. 2 years of these secret meetings. 2 years of sneaking through back doors and service elevators and parking garages. 2 years of loving a man who the world believed was untouchable, unreachable, and unavailable. 2 years of being invisible. She caught her reflection in the polished steel doors, oversized black hoodie swallowing her frame, baseball cap pulled low over her curly hair, a medical mask covering half her face. The uniform of invisibility. The costume of a woman who had learned to disappear in plain sight. In another life, in another world, she might have walked through the front door. She might have held his hand in public, let photographers capture their smiles, given interviews about how they met and fell in love. In another life, their relationship might have been something to celebrate rather than something to hide. But this was Seoul. This was K-pop. And she was a black woman in love with Korea's biggest idol. There was no front door for people like her. 38. 39. 40. The elevator chimed softly, and the doors slid open to reveal a private hallway, all cream marble and soft lighting. A single door waited at the end, guarded by the silence of obscene wealth. Zita stepped out, her sneakers soundless on the floor. The security cameras had been malfunctioning for the past 2 years, a glitch that cost Jae-sun a small fortune in monthly bribes, but bought them something money couldn't typically purchase in Seoul's suffocating entertainment industry: privacy. She knocked twice, paused, then knocked 3 more times. Their signal. The door swung open before she could lower her hand, and suddenly she was being pulled inside, the door slamming shut behind her as strong arms wrapped around her waist and lifted her off the ground. 3 days, Jae-sun breathed against her neck, his voice rough with something between relief and desperation. 3 days felt like 3 years. Zita laughed, the sound muffled against his shoulder as she wrapped her arms around him. Your comeback schedule is insane. I watched the practice videos they posted. You watched. He pulled back to look at her, his dark eyes crinkling at the corners. God, she loved when he smiled. Kang Jae-sun, the ice prince of K-pop, the idol whose cold expressions made fans swoon and interviewers nervous, he smiled so easily with her. Like she unlocked something in him that the rest of the world never got to see. Of course I watched. 37 times actually. The part where you do that body roll in the second chorus. 37. His eyebrow arched with playful arrogance. Only 37? Shut up. She pushed at his chest, but he caught her hands and brought them to his lips, kissing her knuckles one by one. I missed you, he said, softer now. Every second of every day I missed you. Zita's heart clenched. This was the Jae-sun nobody knew. Not the perfect idol with the manufactured image. Not the cold, mysterious figure that entertainment journalists loved to speculate about. Just a man who looked at her like she was the only real thing in his carefully constructed world. He led her deeper into the penthouse, past walls of windows that showcased Seoul's glittering skyline. The city sparkled like a circuit board 40 floors below, millions of lights representing millions of lives, none of whom knew that their beloved idol was secretly in love with a backup dancer. A foreigner. A black woman from Atlanta who had no business being in his world, let alone in his arms. Wine, he offered, moving toward the kitchen. Just water. I have practice at 6 tomorrow. Hana's preparing for her comeback showcase. Jae-sun's expression flickered at the mention of that name. How is it going for her? The same. Zita kept her voice light, even as memories of today's humiliations pressed against her consciousness. The coffee run. The public ridicule. The costume closet. She's demanding. It's fine. He appeared beside her, pressing a glass of water into her hands. You're a terrible liar. You always have been. And you're too observant for your own good. Only with you. He tucked a curl behind her ear, his fingers lingering on her jaw. Tell me what happened. Nothing happened. Just the usual. She took a sip of water to avoid his eyes. She hates me. She makes sure I know it every single day. Today she said I looked homeless and made me sort costumes for 3 hours instead of rehearsing with the team. She said you looked. Jae-sun's jaw tightened. I'm going to talk to someone. This is harassment. And say what? Please tell Hana to stop being mean to my secret girlfriend? That'll go over well. There has to be something I can do. There isn't. Not without exposing us. Zita set down the glass and turned to face him fully. Which brings me to something I need to talk to you about. Jae-sun's expression shifted almost imperceptibly, a flash of something that looked like fear before he smoothed it away. What is it? It's about us going public. She watched his body language change, the subtle stiffening of his shoulders, the way his hand dropped from her face. Jae-sun, it's been 2 years. 2 years of sneaking around, of hiding, pretending I don't know you when we're in the same building. I'm tired. I know. Do you? Do you know what it's like to watch Hana touch your arm in the hallway and smile up at you like she has a right to, while I have to pretend I don't care? Do you know what it's like to read comments from your fans about how you should date a nice Korean girl and know that they'd tear me apart if they knew I existed? Zita. Jae-sun can never date a foreigner, she quoted, the words bitter on her tongue. Jae-sun belongs with someone who matches him. Foreign women only want our oppas for money. I've read them all, Jae-sun. I've seen what your fans say about women who look like me. The pain in his eyes was genuine, she knew that. She knew he hated the xenophobia and racism that infected parts of his fanbase as much as she did. But knowing and doing something about it were 2 different things. The company would never allow it, he said quietly. You know what they'd do. They'd bury you. They'd make your life hell until you disappeared. And my career eclipse everything we've built. So your career matters more than me? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? He moved to the window, pressing his palm against the cool glass. Seoul sprawled beneath him like a kingdom that worshipped him, that consumed everything he gave and demanded more. I'm saying give me time, he said finally. After this comeback. After the tour. I'll find a way to make this work. I'll find a way to protect you and protect us. I just need more time. You said that 6 months ago. I know. You said it a year ago, too. I know. He turned back to her, crossing the space between them in 2 long strides. He took her hands, his grip almost desperate. But I mean it this time. Things are different now. Eclipse is stable. The company needs me more than I need them. Once this comeback proves that, once I have more leverage, I'll have the power to make demands. And if they still say no, then I walk away. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Zita searched his face for doubt, for the fear she'd seen earlier. But all she found was determination. You would do that, she whispered. Would you give up everything you've worked for? I will do it for you. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away tears she hadn't realized she'd shed. For you, Zita, I would give up everything. You're the only real thing in my life. The only person who sees me. Not the idol. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it ached. 2 weeks, he said. Give me until after the comeback showcase. Then we'll sit down together and figure out how to do this. I'll talk to my lawyer, look into my contract, and find the loopholes. We'll make a plan. A plan? A real plan. Not just promises. He pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, Zita. I'm sorry I've made you wait so long. I'm sorry I've asked you to hide. But I swear on everything I am, I will find a way for us to be together publicly, and there won't be any more hiding. The certainty in his voice cracked something open in her chest. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe he really was ready to fight for them. Okay, she breathed. 2 weeks. His smile was like sunrise breaking over mountains, slow, warm, transformative. Okay, don't make me regret trusting you, Kang Jae-sun. Never. He kissed her lips. Never. They moved to the couch, limbs tangling together as naturally as breathing. Zita rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat while he traced lazy patterns on her arm. Do you remember the night we met? He asked, his voice soft with nostalgia. She smiled against his shirt. How could I forget? You were crying in practice room 7. The one in the basement that nobody uses after midnight. And you walked in looking for somewhere quiet to hide from your own life. I almost left when I saw you. His fingers paused their tracing. But then you looked up at me with those eyes, and I just couldn't move. Zita's mind drifted back to that night 2 years ago. The basement practice room smelled like old sweat and broken dreams. Zita sat on the floor in the corner, her back against the mirror, her knees pulled up to her chest. The tears came silently. She learned that lesson early. Crying loud only invited questions she didn't want to answer. Hana's words from rehearsal echoed in her skull, playing on loop like a song she couldn't escape. You call that dancing? My grandmother moves better than you, and she's dead. Maybe the company should have spent my budget on real dancers instead of charity cases from overseas. The other backup dancers had left. Of course they had. Nobody defended the foreign girl. Nobody ever defended the foreign girl. 3 months in Seoul, and Zita was starting to wonder if coming here had been the biggest mistake of her life. She was talented. She knew she was talented. Back in Atlanta, she'd been the best dancer at her studio. Choreographers had fought to work with her. She'd won competitions, earned scholarships, been told she had a gift. But Seoul didn't care about gifts that came wrapped in dark skin. The practice room door opened, and Zita's head snapped up, her hand flying to her face to wipe away evidence of her weakness. A man stood in the doorway, tall, lean, dressed in all black. The baseball cap pulled low, a mask covered his face. It was the uniform of someone who didn't want to be recognized. "Sorry," he said, his voice muffled. "I didn't know anyone was here. I'll go." "No, it's okay." Zita stood quickly, embarrassment flooding her cheeks. "I was just leaving anyway." She grabbed her bag and started toward the door, but he didn't move out of her way. Just stood there, studying her with eyes she couldn't quite make out in the dim lighting. "Bad day?" he asked. Something about his voice made her pause. There was tiredness in it. A weight that suggested he understood bad days intimately. "Bad life," she heard herself say. And then, horrifyingly, she laughed, a wet, broken sound that was closer to a sob. He laughed too. Surprised, like he hadn't expected to. Like he'd forgotten he could. "Yeah," he said. "I know that feeling." He closed the door behind him and sat down against the opposite wall, leaving a respectful distance between them. Then he pulled off his mask and cap, revealing a face that made Zita's breath catch. She didn't recognize him. Not then. She was too new to K-pop, too unfamiliar with the industry's glittering constellation of stars. All she saw was a beautiful man with tired eyes and a smile that seemed surprised by its own existence. "I'm Jae-sun," he said. "Zita. That's a pretty name. What does it mean?" "Seeker." She sat back down, drawn by something she couldn't explain. "It means seeker." "What are you seeking, Zita?" She thought about it. "A place to belong, I guess. Somewhere I'm not the wrong kind of person." "There's no such thing as the wrong kind of person." He leaned his head back against the mirror. "Just the wrong kind of circumstances." They talked until the sun came up. About dreams and disappointments. About the gap between who they wanted to be and who the world allowed them to be. He told her about the pressure of perfection, of being a product instead of a person. She told him about being invisible and hypervisible at the same time, never fitting in, always standing out, never for the right reasons. When the morning light finally crept through the basement windows, they both realized hours had passed. He stood first, offering her his hand. "I should go. Before the building fills up and someone sees me." "Are you someone important?" she asked, genuinely curious. His smile was strange, sad, and amused, and something else she couldn't name. "I'm someone who really enjoyed talking to you, Zita the Seeker. That's all that matters right now." He helped her up, and their hands lingered together for just a moment too long. "Will I see you again?" she asked. "If you want to." "I do." "Then you will." He squeezed her fingers once before letting go. "Same place, same time, tomorrow night?" She nodded. "I'll be here." He smiled, the kind that crinkled his eyes. He slipped out the door. It wasn't until she left the building an hour later, passing a massive promotional poster in the lobby, that she realized who she'd spent the night talking to. Kang Jae-sun, lead vocalist of Eclipse, the most famous idol in South Korea. But by then, it didn't matter. Because she'd seen something behind those famous eyes that had nothing to do with fame. She'd seen herself. Best night of my life, Jae-sun murmured, pulling Zita back to the present. I'd forgotten what it felt like to be real with someone. To be seen. Me too. She tilted her face up to kiss his jaw. You made me feel like I wasn't crazy for being here. Like I belonged. You do belong. Here, in this city, in this industry. He shifted so he could look into her eyes. And most importantly, here. With me. In my arms and in my life. Jae-sun. I mean it. You're my home, Zita. Everything else is just noise. She kissed him then, slowly and deeply, trying to pour all her love and fear and hope into the press of her lips against his. He responded in kind, his hands moving to cradle her face like she was something precious. Something worth protecting. When they finally broke apart, breathless, his phone buzzed on the coffee table. Then again. Then a third time, the screen lit up with notification after notification. Ignore it, Zita whispered. I always ignore it when I'm with you. But his eyes had flicked to the screen, and she saw the way his jaw tightened. What is it? Nothing. Manager stuff. Jae-sun. He sighed, reaching for the phone. His face changed as he scrolled, subtle shifts that Zita had learned to read over 2 years of studying him. Tension in his shoulders. A furrow between his brows. The slight flare of his nostrils meant he was worried. What? She pressed, sitting up. It's nothing. Just some forum posts. Fans being fans. Show me. He hesitated, which told her everything she needed to know. Jae-sun. Show me. He handed over the phone, and Zita's blood ran cold as she read. Breaking news, Eclipse's Kang Jae-sun has a secret girlfriend. And she's not Korean. Insider confirms. Photos coming soon. Stay tuned. The post had thousands of comments already. Speculation running wild. Fans demanding answers. Others viciously defending their idol against the lies. It's just rumors, Jae-sun said quickly, taking the phone back. There's no proof. Someone's just trying to stir up drama. Photos coming soon, Zita repeated, her voice hollow. Jae-sun, someone knows. Someone is. No one knows. It's probably just a sasaeng making things up for attention. It happens all the time. And if it's not? What if someone actually has pictures of us? Then we deal with it. He pulled her close, his arms tight around her. Together. We will deal with it together. But Zita couldn't shake the chill that had settled in her bones. Someone was watching them. Someone was documenting their secret. And soon, very soon, the whole world might know. She didn't sleep that night. She lay in Jae-sun's arms, listening to his breathing even out into sleep, and stared at the ceiling with wide, unblinking eyes. Somewhere in this city, someone had photos of them. Photos that could destroy everything. And in her pocket, her phone held a secret of her own, a message from CEO Park that she hadn't responded to. Nova, the reveal concert is confirmed. 3 weeks. Are you ready to show the world? She was one of the most famous artists on the planet. She filled stadiums. She broke records. She was Nova, the masked mystery whose identity had captivated millions. And her own boyfriend had no idea. She looked at Jae-sun's sleeping face, peaceful and trusting, and felt the weight of her deception pressing down on her chest like a physical thing. I was going to tell you, asterisk, she thought. Asterisk tonight. I was going to tell you everything. But the forum post had changed things. If photos of them were about to leak, if their relationship was about to be exposed, adding Nova's identity to the chaos would only make things worse. So she stayed silent again and kept her secret to herself. And somewhere outside the penthouse windows, Seoul sparkled with a million lights, indifferent to the storm that was coming. Morning came too quickly. Zita extracted herself from Jae-sun's arms before dawn, moving silently through the penthouse to gather her things. She'd become an expert at disappearing, dressing in the dark, leaving no traces, slipping out like a ghost before the world woke up. She was almost at the service elevator when his voice stopped her. Zita. She turned. He stood in the hallway, hair mussed from sleep, wearing nothing but sweatpants. Even half awake, he was unfairly beautiful. "I was going to let you sleep," she said softly. "I know." He crossed to her, pulling her into one last embrace. "I have a schedule today. Filming until late. I won't be able to call." "It's okay. I have rehearsal anyway. Hana's showcase is in 5 days." He winced at the name. "After this comeback." "I know." She pressed a finger to his lips. 2 weeks. "You promised." "I promised." He kissed her finger, then her forehead, then her lips. "I love you." "I love you too." She stepped into the elevator, and the doors began to close between them. "Soon," he said. "Soon everyone will know you're mine." The door shut, and Zita was alone with her reflection again. Same oversized hoodie. Same cap and mask. Same disguise. "You have no idea who I really am, Jae-sun," she whispered to the empty elevator. "And I'm starting to wonder if you ever will." The elevator descended, carrying her back down to earth. Back to her double life. Back to the secrets that were starting to suffocate her. And outside, in a car parked across from the hotel's service entrance, a man with a camera watched and waited. The shutter clicked once as Zita emerged. Click, click, click. Soon, the whole world would know Kang Jae-sun's secret. And nothing would ever be the same. Oh no! Someone is taking photos. Who do you think is behind this? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you're already hooked, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Things are about to get messy. Chapter 2. The Girl They Treat Like Trash. Stellar Entertainment's headquarters rose from Seoul's Gangnam district like a monument to manufactured perfection, all glass and steel, and carefully cultivated image. At 6 a.m., the building was already humming with activity. Trainees practicing choreography in basement studios. Stylists steaming outfits for the day's schedules. Managers barking orders into phones while chugging their third coffee of the morning. Zita entered through the back entrance, the one reserved for staff who weren't important enough for the grand lobby. She swiped her ID card at the security checkpoint and nodded at the guard who barely glanced her way. After 3 years, she'd become furniture, present but unremarkable, noticed only when something went wrong. The backup dancer dressing room was on the 4th floor, a cramped space that smelled like hairspray and competition. Zita arrived to find her fellow dancers already stretching, their conversations dying to whispers when she walked in. "Morning," she said to no one in particular. Sujin, the lead backup dancer and Hana's unofficial spy, looked up from her phone with a practiced smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Zita, you're almost late." "I'm 15 minutes early." For Hana's team, early is on time. On time is late. Sujin exchanged glances with Minyoung and Hairi, the other 2 Korean dancers who had made excluding Zita into an art form. "You'd know that if you'd been paying attention." Zita bit back her response and moved to her designated corner, literally the corner, the spot farthest from the mirrors and the good lighting. She'd been assigned this position on her first day and had never been invited to move. "I heard something interesting this morning," Minyoung said, loud enough to ensure Zita could hear. "There's a rumor online that Kang Jae-sun has a secret girlfriend." A foreign girlfriend. Zita's hands froze on her shoelaces. She forced them to keep moving. "No way," Hairi gasped with theatrical shock. "Jae-sun Appa would never date a foreigner." "That's what I said." "It has to be fake. Some pathetic fan trying to make herself seem important." Sujin's eyes slid to Zita in the mirror. "Can you imagine? A foreigner thinking she could be with someone like Jae-sun? The delusion. The desperation," Minyoung added. "The audacity," Hairi chimed in. They all laughed, tinkling, mean little laughs that they'd perfected alongside their dance moves. Zita focused on her breathing. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Don't react. Don't give them ammunition. But Mina, sitting a few feet away, caught her eye with a sympathetic grimace. Mina was the only other foreigner on the team, a Korean-American from Los Angeles who'd come to Seoul chasing the same dream as Zita. She was the closest thing Zita had to a friend in this place, though even their friendship had to be conducted in whispers and stolen moments. Being associated with Zita was social suicide. The dressing room door slammed open, and every head snapped to attention. Hana's assistant, a perpetually stressed woman named Ji Young, stood in the doorway with a clipboard and a migraine. She's arriving in 10 minutes. Everyone in formation in Studio 3. Now. The dancers scrambled to their feet, checking reflections, adjusting ponytails, smoothing invisible wrinkles. Zita followed the herd, staying at the back where she belonged. Studio 3 was one of Stellar's larger practice spaces, reserved for their top artists. Floor-to-ceiling mirrors lined every wall, and professional-grade speakers hung from the ceiling like mechanical sentinels. The room could make you feel like a star, or it could make you feel like an insect under a microscope. For Zita, it was always the latter. The backup dancers arranged themselves in their designated positions, Zita in the back right corner, barely visible behind Sujin and Minyoung's coordinated symmetry. They waited in silence, the only sound the soft squeak of practice shoes on polished wood. Then the door opened, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Shin Hana entered like a queen returning to her throne. She was objectively beautiful. Zita had never been able to deny that. High cheekbones that could cut glass. Skin that seemed to glow even under fluorescent lights. A body honed by years of training into something that was equal parts athletic and ethereal. At 24, she was one of the most successful solo artists in K-pop, with multiple hit songs, endorsements deals that numbered in the dozens, and a fanbase that worshipped the ground she walked on. She was also, in Zita's extensive experience, one of the cruelest people she'd ever met. Today, Hana wore a designer tracksuit that probably cost more than Zita's monthly rent, her long black hair pulled into a sleek ponytail. Her entourage flowed in behind her, stylists, managers, personal assistants, makeup artists, a small army dedicated to maintaining her perfection. Hana's gaze swept across the studio, cataloging each element like a general surveying her troops. Her eyes lingered on each backup dancer, assessing and judging. When those eyes landed on Zita, they hardened. You. Hana's voice was a perfectly calibrated weapon, soft enough to seem reasonable, sharp enough to draw blood. Come here. Zita's stomach dropped, but she stepped forward, keeping her expression neutral. Yes, Hana SSI. Hana circled her slowly, the way a predator circles wounded prey. The room was utterly silent. No one moved. No one breathed. What are you wearing? Zita glanced down at her practice clothes. Standard issue black leggings and a fitted tank top. The same thing she wore every day. The same thing everyone else was wearing. The company uniform, Hana SSI. The company uniform. Hana repeated the words like they tasted bad. Look at this. She pinched the fabric of Zita's tank top between two fingers, her lip curling with disgust. Wrinkled. Faded. You look like you pulled this out of a donation bin. Did I ask you to speak? Hana's voice cracked like a whip. This is my stage. My showcase. And you want to stand behind me looking like. She waved her hand at Zita's entire existence. This? The backup dancers watched with expressions carefully arranged into blankness. But Zita could see the satisfaction gleaming in Sujin's eyes, the barely suppressed smirks on Minyoung and Hairi's faces. I apologize, Zita said, her voice steady despite the humiliation burning through her veins. I'll get a new uniform. You'll do more than get a new uniform. Hana pulled out her phone, checking her reflection in the black screen. You'll go to the coffee shop on the first floor and get me my usual order. Large oat milk latte, 2 pumps of vanilla, extra hot but not scalding. And Zita? She looked up with a smile that was pure poison. You have 10 minutes. If you're not back in 10 minutes, you're out of today's rehearsal. Maybe out of the showcase entirely. I'll have to see if I'm feeling generous. 10 minutes. The coffee shop was a 5-minute walk each way. She'd have zero time for any delays. Yes, Hana SSI. Zita turned and walked toward the door, each step measured and controlled. She would not run. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her panic. Behind her, she heard Hana say to the room, "This is what happens when we let just anyone onto my team. Standards disappear. Quality suffers. Maybe the company should reconsider their diversity initiatives." Soft laughter followed Zita into the hallway. She ran. The coffee shop was packed, of course it was. Morning rush hour in an entertainment company building meant a line out the door, every trainee and staff member desperate for caffeine before their schedules swallowed them whole. Zita joined the line, her foot tapping an anxious rhythm against the floor. 7 minutes left. The line moved like it was walking through molasses. 6 minutes. She finally reached the counter, rattling off Hana's complicated order to a barista who looked as overwhelmed as Zita felt. Name, the barista asked. Hana. The barista's eyebrows rose slightly. Everyone knew that name, and she moved a little faster. 5 minutes. Zita waited at the pickup counter, watching the clock on the wall like it was counting down to an execution. Other orders were called. Not hers. People who'd arrived after her got their drinks and left. For minutes. Oat milk latte for Hana? Zita grabbed the cup and was out the door before the barista finished speaking. She power-walked through the lobby, dodging other employees, nearly colliding with a group of trainees. 3 minutes. The elevator was full. Of course it was. She jabbed the button for the 4th floor and willed the metal box to move faster. 2 minutes. The doors opened. Zita sprinted down the hallway, coffee held carefully in front of her like a sacred offering. She reached Studio 3, checked her phone. 11 minutes. She was 1 minute late. Zita pushed open the door, breathless, and found everyone staring at her. Hana stood in the center of the room, her arms crossed, her expression triumphant. 11 minutes, Hana said. I said 10. The line was, I don't care about the line. Hana stepped forward, taking the coffee from Zita's hands. She removed the lid, examined the contents, and took a delicate sip. Her face transformed into disgust. This is cold. She held the cup away from her like it was contaminated. Did you walk here from another country? Did you stop for a tour along the way? It was hot when I got it. Are you calling me a liar? Hana's voice rose. Are you saying I don't know the difference between hot and cold? The room seemed to shrink around Zita. Every eye was on her. Every judgment being filed away for later gossip. No, Hana SSI. I'm sorry. Sorry. Hana laughed, a brittle sound like breaking glass. Sorry doesn't fix my cold coffee. Neither does it give me back the time we've wasted waiting for you. Sorry doesn't make you competent. She thrust the coffee cup at Ji-young, who took it with practiced efficiency. You're out of today's rehearsal. Go sort the costume closet. And Zita? Hana stepped closer, close enough that Zita could smell her expensive perfume. Consider this a warning. One more mistake, one more disappointment, and I'll personally recommend to the company that they terminate your contract. There are 100 dancers who would kill to be on my team. Dancers who actually deserve to be here. Dancers who belong here. The word belong landed like a slap. Zita's hands curled into fists at her sides, but she kept her voice even. Yes, Hana SSI. I understand. Do you? Hana tilted her head, studying Zita like a specimen. Because sometimes I wonder if your Korean is good enough to actually understand what I'm saying. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we need to speak slower for you. More muffled laughter came from the backup dancers. Zita said nothing. There was nothing to say that wouldn't make things worse. Go. Hana waved her hand dismissively. I'm tired of looking at you. Zita turned and walked out of the studio, her head held high even as her eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. She made it to the hallway, around the corner, into the elevator. The doors closed, and she crumbled. She pressed her hand over her mouth to muffle the sob that escaped. 3 years. 3 years of this treatment. 3 years of being told, in 1,000 small and large ways, that she didn't belong here. That she would never belong here. That her talent, her passion, her dedication meant nothing because she had been born with the wrong face in the wrong country with the wrong color skin. The elevator stopped at the basement level, and Zita forced herself to pull it together. Straighten the spine. Dry the eyes. Fix the face. She was not broken. She refused to be broken. The costume closet was more of a costume warehouse, a massive storage room filled with racks and racks of outfits from every stellar artist's performances over the years. Hana's section alone took up 3 aisles, each costume catalogued and covered in plastic, arranged by era and concept. Zita's job was to organize, which really meant checking each item for damage, ensuring everything was in its proper place, and doing whatever other grunt work Hana's team decided was beneath them. She worked mechanically, her hands moving through the motions while her mind drifted elsewhere. 3 more weeks, she thought. In 3 weeks, the Nova reveal happens. In 3 weeks, everyone will know who I really am. The thought should have brought comfort. Instead, it just made everything more complicated. Because how could she reveal herself as Nova when her relationship with Jae-sun was about to be exposed? How could she explain that the nobody backup dancer, who'd been secretly dating K-pop's biggest idol, was also the mysterious masked artist who'd outsold every K-pop group in history? It was too much. Too many secrets, lies, and too many identities to maintain. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Pearl. "You okay?" Saw the forum posts. "The internet is going crazy." Zita typed back, "I'm fine. Just drama. It'll blow over." Girl, "it'll blow over" is what people say right before their whole life explodes. You need to be careful. I know. I will. And Z? If things get bad, you know what you have to do. Zita stared at the message, knowing exactly what Pearl meant. If Jae-sun couldn't protect her, if the exposure happened and everything fell apart, she had options. She had Nova. She had power that no one knew about. But using that power meant revealing everything. It meant losing the relationship she'd tried so hard to protect. It meant becoming someone else entirely. Was she ready for that? Before she could answer her own question, the closet door opened. Zita spun around, expecting Ji-young or one of Hana's minions coming to add to her punishment. Instead, she found herself face to face with the one person she absolutely should not be seen with. Kang Jae-sun. He slipped inside quickly, closing the door behind him. Even in the dim lighting of the costume closet, surrounded by sequins and silk and Hana's discarded glamour, he looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine. "What are you doing here?" Zita hissed, checking to make sure no one had followed him. "Someone will see." "I don't care." He crossed the space between them and pulled her into his arms. "I heard what happened. Derek texted me." Derek wasn't even there. Word travels fast in this building. Everyone's talking about how Hana humiliated you in front of the whole team. His arms tightened around her. "I'm so sorry. I should have done something." "I should." "You should have done what?" Zita pulled back to look at him. "Burst into her studio and defended my honor? Announced to everyone that your secret girlfriend was being bullied. Maybe I should have." "That's insane." "Is it?" His eyes were dark with frustration. "I'm sick of watching you suffer. I'm sick of standing on the sidelines while that woman treats you like trash. You're worth 1,000 of her, Zita. 1,000,000. And she has no idea. That's the point. No one has any idea. That's how we wanted it. Is it how you wanted it? Or is it how I wanted it and you went along with it?" The question hung in the air, sharp and uncomfortable. Zita looked away. "It's been 2 years," she said quietly. 2 years of watching Hana flirt with you in hallways. 2 years of hearing her brag about how you two would make a perfect couple while I stand 5 feet away sorting her backup dancer formations. 2 years of hiding and lying and pretending I don't know you. Zita. And I've done it." She met his eyes again. "I've done all of it because I love you. Because I believed that eventually, someday, we'd get our chance. But someday keeps getting pushed back. And meanwhile, I'm drowning." Jae-sun's face crumpled. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I will surely make it up to you." He lowered his head and kissed her. She wrapped her arms around his neck to savor the moment. As they were lost in each other's arms, they heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Zita quickly pushed Jae-sun away. Jae-sun ducked behind a rack of costumes as the door swung open. Hana stood in the doorway. For one heart-stopping moment, Zita was certain they'd been caught. That Hana had seen Jae-sun enter and had discovered everything. But Hana's gaze was fixed solely on Zita, her eyes narrowed with suspicion but not accusation. "Who are you talking to?" "No one." Zita's heart pounded so hard she was sure Hana could hear it. "I was singing to myself. While I worked." "Singing?" Hana's lip curled with disdain. "You? Sing?" She laughed, a sharp bark of disbelief. Stick to dancing. Oh, wait. Her smile turned poisonous. You can't even do that properly. She walked further into the closet, running her fingers along the plastic-wrapped costumes like a queen surveying her treasury. Zita held her breath, praying Jae-sun would stay silent and hidden. I've been thinking, Hana continued, her back to Zita now. About the showcase, the team, and dead weight. Dead weight. Hana spun to face her. You know what I mean. People who drag down the performance instead of elevating it. People who make mistakes and slow everyone down. People who don't. She tilted her head, that predator's gaze sweeping over Zita again. Fit. I've been practicing extra hours, Zita said. I know all the choreography perfectly. Choreography isn't the problem. Hana stepped closer, invading Zita's space. The problem is that every time you're on stage, people notice you. And not in a good way. You stand out. In ways that distract from me. Zita understood perfectly. She stood out because she was black in a sea of Korean faces. She stood out because no matter how perfectly she danced, she would never blend in. She stood out because Hana couldn't stand anyone drawing attention away from her precious spotlight. Maybe, Hana continued, her voice dropping to a silky murmur, the company should just let you go. One less charity case to worry about. One less embarrassment on my stage. I have a contract. Contracts can be broken. Hana smiled. Especially for backup dancers who aren't meeting expectations. She patted Zita's cheek condescendingly. Think about it. Maybe it's time to go back to wherever you came from. Find something more suited to your talents. She turned and swept toward the door, then paused, looking back over her shoulder. Oh, and Zita? Those costumes better be perfect when I check them tomorrow. Every sequin in place. Every zipper should be functional. If I find one flaw, I'll take it to the management. The door slammed shut behind her. Zita stood frozen, her body trembling with rage and helplessness and the overwhelming urge to scream. 3 years of building a life here. 3 years of sacrificing everything for her dream. And Hana could end it all with one complaint to the right person. But more than that, more than the threat to her job, more than the humiliation, was the knowledge that Jae-sun was hiding just feet away, listening to every word. Listening to Hana tear her apart. And doing nothing. Because what could he do? Step out from behind the costume rack and announce, actually, Hana, this woman you're threatening is my girlfriend? That would only make everything worse. So he hid. And she was humiliated. And the chasm between their two worlds had never felt wider. Jae-sun emerged from his hiding place, his face dark with fury. You're going to do nothing. Zita's voice cracked like a whip. Don't you see? If you defend me, she'll know. Everyone will know. I can't just watch her threaten you. You've been watching for 2 years. What's different now? The words were out before she could stop them. Zita saw them land, saw Jae-sun flinch like she'd struck him. I didn't mean that, she said quickly. I'm sorry. No. His voice was quiet, pained. You're right. You're absolutely right. I've been a coward. I've let you suffer alone while I protected my career, my image, my comfortable little life. Jae-sun. No, let me say this. He took her hands, his grip almost desperate. I keep making you wait. I keep making promises and then finding excuses not to keep them. I keep watching you get hurt and telling myself there's nothing I can do. He pressed his forehead to hers, his breath warm on her face. After the comeback. 2 weeks. I'll find a way to go public. A real way with a real plan. No more hiding or watching you get destroyed while I do nothing. You've said that before. I know. But this time, he pulled back to look into her eyes. This time I'm going to prove it. I'm going to show you that you matter more to me than any of this. More than the fame. More than the money. More than everything. Zita wanted to believe him. She wanted it so badly that it ached in her chest like a physical wound. 2 weeks, she whispered. 2 weeks, he confirmed. And then everything will change. I promise. He kissed her forehead, soft and reverent, and slipped out the door. Zita stood alone in the costume closet, surrounded by the ghosts of Hana's past performances, and tried to convince herself that this time would be different. But deep in her heart, In the place where hope and fear lived side by side, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to fall apart. That night, she sat in her small apartment, scrolling through her phone while Pearl cooked dinner in the kitchen. The anonymous forum post had exploded into a full-scale internet investigation. K-pop fans were digital detectives, analyzing every photograph of Jae-sun from the past year, looking for clues about the mysterious foreign girlfriend. Theory: I think I know who Jae-sun's secret girlfriend is. Zita's blood ran cold. She clicked on the post. Look at this photo from 3 months ago. See the woman in the background? Foreign. Black. And she's looking at him like she knows him. The photo was grainy, clearly zoomed and enhanced. But there she was, a tiny figure in the corner of a crowd shot, her face partially visible as she watched Jae-sun arrive at an event. The comments were a nightmare. No way. She's a backup dancer. Jae-sun would never. She's not even pretty. Our oppa has standards. This is so gross. Foreign women are always chasing our men. Find her. I want to know who she is. If this is true, we need to make her disappear. Zita's hands were shaking when Pearl appeared with 2 bowls of ramen. You're reading those posts again, aren't you? Pearl set the bowls down and pulled the phone from Zita's hands. Girl, stop torturing yourself. They're close, Pearl. They're going to figure out who I am. They've been close before. Remember last year when they were convinced Jae-sun was dating that Japanese model? This is different. That photo is blurry as hell and could be literally anyone. Pearl handed her a bowl. Eat. Stress won't help, but carbs might. Zita picked up her chopsticks, but couldn't bring herself to eat. What if they find more photos? What if there are pictures I don't even know about? Then it would be handled. This is not a death sentence. Pearl fixed her with a pointed stare. Not Jae-sun. Not his company. You. Because you have options he doesn't even know about. You mean Nova. I mean the fact that you're secretly one of the biggest artists in the world, and you've been hiding that power for 3 years. Pearl shook her head. I love you, but I still don't understand why you haven't told him. Because I wanted him to love me. Not the fame, or the money, or the power. Just me. And? Does he? Zita thought about Jae-sun's face in the costume closet. His promises. His desperation. His guilt. I think so. I hope so. Hoping isn't knowing. Pearl blew on her ramen. And knowing is going to become very important if this situation explodes. Zita's phone buzzed, not her regular phone, but her Nova phone. The secure device that only 3 people had the number for. She pulled it out and saw a message from CEO Park. Tomorrow. My office. 10 a.m. We need to finalize the reveal plans. The world is ready to meet you, Nova. The world was ready. But was she? Zita looked at her 2 phones, one representing the life she'd built in the shadows, the other representing the power she'd hidden from everyone. 2 identities. 2 futures. 2 impossible choices. In 3 weeks, she would have to become someone else. The only question was whether she'd still have anything left to lose. Wait. Zita is Nova, the biggest pop star in Seoul, and she's been hiding it from everyone, including her own boyfriend. This is about to get so good. If you're loving this story, hit that like button and let me know in the comments, should Zita tell Jae-sun her secret or keep it hidden? Let's see who guessed right when the reveal happens. Chapter 3. The storm begins. The anonymous forum post was just the first raindrop before the flood. By morning, Zita's anonymous existence had become the internet's favorite mystery. K-pop forums, Twitter threads, Weibo discussions, Instagram investigations, every platform was buzzing with speculation about Kang Jae-sun's rumored foreign girlfriend. Mega thread, everything we know about Jae-sun's secret relationship. The thread had been pinned to the top of every major K-pop forum, constantly updated as digital detectives compiled their evidence. Blurry background photos. Analysis of Jae-sun's recent lyrics for hidden meanings. Screenshots of moments where he'd glanced off camera during interviews, his expression suspicious. The comments had grown from hundreds to thousands overnight. I refuse to believe Jae-sun oppa would hide something like this. He's been acting different lately. More distracted. This explains everything. If there's really a foreign girlfriend, We need to find her and make her leave him alone. International fans defending interracial dating in 3, 2, 1. Keep your foreign agendas out of K-pop. Our idols belong with Korean women. Zita read the comments in the back of a taxi on her way to Stellar Entertainment, her stomach churning with each hateful word. This was what she'd feared. This was why they'd hidden for 2 years. And someone was about to blow it all wide open. Stellar Entertainment was in crisis mode. Zita could feel it the moment she walked through the doors. Staff members hurried through hallways with phones pressed to their ears, their conversations conducted in urgent whispers. Managers huddled in corners, gesturing frantically. The usual early morning calm had been replaced by an electric tension that made the air feel heavy. She made it to the backup dancer dressing room without being stopped, but the conversation inside made her freeze at the door. Pulled him into an emergency meeting this morning, Soojin was saying, her voice carrying through the thin walls. CEO Park himself. Eclipse's managers. Everyone. Do you think it's about the girlfriend rumors? Minyoung asked. What else would it be? The company is furious. If there really is a foreign girlfriend, it would be a disaster, Hyrie finished. His image would be ruined. The whole group would suffer. Zita pushed open the door, and all conversation stopped. The backup dancers stared at her with something new in their eyes, not just the usual contempt, but something sharper. More calculating. Like they were seeing her for the first time. Morning, Zita said, moving toward her corner. Morning. Soojin's voice was honey-sweet, which immediately put Zita on guard. You look tired. Rough night. I'm fine. Are you sure? Because you seem distracted. Soojin exchanged glances with her friends. Anything on your mind? Nothing unusual. Really? Because there's a lot happening today. Soojin smiled. A lot of interesting rumors going around. Zita kept her expression neutral even as her heart hammered. I don't really follow online drama. That's smart. Online drama can be so dangerous. People get hurt when secrets come out. The words landed like veiled threats. Did they know something? Had they guessed? Or were they just fishing, hoping for a reaction? Mina caught Zita's eye from across the room, her expression warning her to stay calm. I'm going to warm up, Zita said, grabbing her practice shoes. Hana wants us in Studio 3 in 30 minutes. She left the dressing room without looking back, but she could feel their eyes following her. The storm was coming. She could feel it building with every passing hour. CEO Park's office was on the top floor of Stellar Entertainment, a minimalist space that somehow managed to be both intimidating and impersonal. White walls. Black furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows that made visitors feel exposed. Zita had been here many times before, but always as Nova, never as herself. Today, she entered through the private elevator, the one only top executives and their most valuable artists knew about. CEO Park was waiting at his desk, his silver-streaked hair immaculate, his designer suit perfectly tailored. He was a man who had built his empire on control, and nothing about him suggested that control had ever slipped. Zita. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Or should I say, Nova? Just Zita is fine. For now. He smiled, a practiced expression that revealed nothing. For now. But not for much longer. He pulled up something on his computer, then turned the screen to face her. It showed a massive stadium, the Olympic gymnastics arena, filled with computer-generated projections of a sold-out crowd. The Nova reveal concert. 3 weeks from today. 80,000 people in attendance. Another 50 million expected to stream live worldwide. The biggest reveal event in K-pop history. Zita looked at the projections, feeling the familiar mixture of excitement and terror that came with being Nova. Has the production team finalized everything? Almost. But that's not why I called you here. CEO Park leaned back in his chair, his eyes sharp. I need to discuss something sensitive. What kind of sensitive topic do you want to discuss? The kind involving Kang Jae-sun. Zita's blood ran cold. What about him? There are rumors circulating online. Rumors about a secret girlfriend. A foreign girlfriend. CEO Park steepled his fingers. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? Years of hiding her identity as Nova had made Zita an expert liar. She kept her expression perfectly blank. I've seen the posts. Everyone has. And? And what? I'm a backup dancer. Jae-sun and I barely interact. CEO Park studied her for a long moment. She couldn't tell if he believed her or not. Let me be clear, he said finally. If Kong Jae-sun is involved in any kind of scandal, it will affect this entire company. Including Nova. Including you. I understand. I hope so? Because the timing of this is unfortunate. The Nova reveal is supposed to be the biggest event of the decade. I can't have it overshadowed by tabloid drama about one of my other artists. It won't be. How can you be sure? Zita met his gaze steadily. Because I'm not going to let anything interfere with the reveal. Nova has been waiting 3 years for this moment. I've been waiting 3 years. Nothing is going to take that away from me. Something shifted in CEO Park's expression, approval, maybe, or satisfaction. Good. That's what I wanted to hear. He turned the computer screen back toward himself. The reveal will proceed as planned. But Zita, he looked up at her again. If there is anything you're not telling me, now would be the time to come clean. Because when this reveal happens, everything about your life will change. And secrets have a way of becoming very public, very quickly. Zita thought about Jae-sun, the forum posts and the photos that someone, somewhere, was preparing to release. There's nothing to tell, she said. CEO Park nodded slowly. Then we have nothing to worry about. But as Zita left his office, she couldn't shake the feeling that he knew more than he was letting on. That he was waiting for something to happen. That he was already planning for an outcome she couldn't see coming. The rest of the day passed in a blur of rehearsals, costume fittings, and Hana's endless demands. Zita moved through it all on autopilot, her mind churning with worst-case scenarios. The forum posts were getting more specific. More photos were surfacing, none of them clear enough to identify her, but each one bringing the investigation closer to the truth. And then at 4 p.m., her world started to collapse. Her personal phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She opened it, expecting spam. Instead, she found a photo. A photo of her and Jae-sun kissing outside the hotel. This wasn't a blurry picture, it was very clear. Beneath the image, a message. I wonder how much this is worth. Zita's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. She ducked into the nearest bathroom, locking herself in a stall as she tried to process what she was seeing. Someone had been watching them. Someone had photographed them, and he or she was now using that photograph as leverage. She called Jae-sun immediately. Pick up, she whispered. Please pick up. He answered on the third ring. Zita? I'm in the middle of a meeting. Someone has photos of us, clear photos. There was silence. Then, what? I just got a text. A blackmail text. They have a picture of us kissing outside the hotel. The night you said we were safe, that no one would ever know. Send me the number. Send me everything. I'll handle this. How? What if they've already sold the photos? What if they're already on their way to being published? Then we get ahead of it. His voice was steady, but she could hear the fear beneath the calm. We will go public first, then control the narrative. Your company will destroy us both. I don't care about the company anymore. I told you I will choose you, and I meant it. Zita leaned against the bathroom stall, her eyes stinging with tears. What if it's too late? What if we can't control this? I'm sure that we will come up with something together. No matter what happens, Zita, I'm not letting you go through this alone. Promise me. I promise. Meet me tonight at the penthouse. We'll figure this out. Okay. She took a shaky breath. I love you. I love you too. More than anything. He hung up and Zita stared at her phone for a long moment. Then she looked at the blackmail text again. Who had taken this photo? Who was threatening them? And how much time did they have before everything exploded? Jae-sun's people traced the phone number to a paparazzi photographer known for selling celebrity scandals to the highest bidder. By 6 p.m., Jae-sun had arranged a secret meeting. By 7 p.m., he had his answer, and it was worse than he'd feared. Someone already outbid me, Jae-sun told Zita over the phone, his voice hollow. The photos will go public tomorrow morning. Who bought them? He wouldn't say. Just that they wanted to protect me from making a mistake. Zita's mind raced through the possibilities. A sasaeng fan? A rival company? Someone with a personal vendetta? Or someone closer to home? Hana, she breathed. What? Hana's been suspicious for months. She's obsessed with you. What if she found out about us and decided to end it on her terms? Hana, Jae-sun sounded skeptical. She's competitive, but this seems extreme even for her. You don't see what she's like when you're not around. The things she says to me. The way she looks at me. Zita's hands clenched into fists. She hates me, Jae-sun. And she wants you. What better way to get both than to expose our relationship and destroy me in the process? Silence stretched across the line. Even if it's her, Jae-sun finally said, we can't prove it. And by tomorrow morning, it won't matter. The photos will be out. Everyone will know. So what do? We go public first. Tonight. Before they can control the story. Your company. I will have to deal with it. His voice hardened with determination. I'm done hiding. I'm done being a coward. You deserve better than this, Zita. You deserve someone who's willing to fight for you, not someone who keeps you in the shadows. Zita felt tears spilling down her cheeks. Jae-sun, I'm calling an emergency meeting with my managers. I'm going to tell them everything before the photos leak. And tomorrow, at the showcase, I'm going to announce our relationship publicly. They'll never let you do that. They won't have a choice. By the time the showcase happens, the photos will already be out. The only question is whether I'm controlling the narrative or running from it. For the first time since this nightmare started, Zita felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the moment. Maybe he was finally ready to choose her. I love you, she said. I love you too. Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow is going to be insane. I will. But after they hung up, Zita didn't rest. She sat in her apartment, staring at the wall, trying to prepare herself for the firestorm that was coming. Tomorrow, the whole world would know she existed. Tomorrow, she would become the most hated woman in K-pop. And tomorrow, she would find out if Kang Jae-sun's love was strong enough to survive it. At 9 p.m., in a penthouse across the city, Shin Hana received a manila envelope delivered by private courier. She opened it with the eagerness of a child unwrapping a birthday present. Inside, photographs. Dozens of them. Zita and Jae-sun at the hotel. Zita and Jae-sun in his car. Zita and Jae-sun kissing, holding hands, looking at each other like the world didn't exist. Hana's hands trembled as she flipped through the images. Not with sadness or disappointment. With rage. That backup dancer, she hissed. That nobody. He's been with that. She couldn't even finish the sentence. Couldn't find words vile enough to express her contempt. For months, she'd suspected Jae-sun was hiding something. For months, she'd watched him reject her advances, turn down her invitations, maintain a professional distance that had felt like a personal insult. And now she knows why. He'd chosen Zita over her. A backup dancer. A foreigner. A black woman. The humiliation was unbearable. Hana SSI. Her assistant appeared in the doorway. What would you like me to do with these? Hana looked up, her expression transforming from fury to calculation. Send them to CEO Park. Anonymously. Make sure they arrive before midnight. And then, Hana smiled, a cold, dangerous expression that promised destruction. And then we let the company handle it. They'll force Jae-sun to deny everything. They'll make that woman disappear. And when he needs someone to comfort him afterward. She traced her finger across one of the photographs, across Jae-sun's face. I'll be waiting. HNA is the villain. She bought the photos to destroy Zita. Type karma is coming in the comments if you want to see Hana get what she deserves. And subscribe if you haven't already because this story is about to get intense. Chapter 4. The Betrayal. The emergency meeting happened at 11 p.m. Jae-sun sat alone at a conference table built for 20, surrounded by the blank-faced executives who controlled every aspect of his career. CEO Park occupied the head of the table, his expression unreadable. Eclipse's management team flanked him like loyal soldiers. Lawyers, publicists, and crisis managers filled the remaining seats. Derek had wanted to attend for moral support, but management had refused. This was about Jae-sun. This was about damage control. No witnesses necessary. Let me make sure I understand correctly, CEO Park said, his voice terrifyingly calm. You've been in a secret relationship with a backup dancer for 2 years. A foreign backup dancer. And now someone has photographs that prove it. Jae-sun forced himself to maintain eye contact. Yes. And your plan was to, what? Come clean? Announce it publicly? Throw away everything we've built for some woman the public has never heard of. She's not some woman. I love her. Love. CEO Park laughed bitterly. You think love matters in this industry? You think fans care about your feelings when they're burning your merchandise and streaming someone else's music? It's my life. Your life belongs to this company. CEO Park stood, planting his hands on the table. You signed a contract. You made commitments. And those commitments include maintaining an image that your fans can believe in. An image you've just put in jeopardy for a relationship that never should have happened. Jae-sun's jaw tightened. I won't deny her. I won't let you destroy her reputation to protect mine. You won't let us? CEO Park's eyes hardened. Let me explain something to you, Jae-sun. Those photographs are going public in, he checked his watch, about 8 hours. When they do, we have two options. He held up one finger. Option 1. You claim the relationship. You stand beside this woman and declare your love to the world. And within 24 hours, your career is over. Your members' careers are collateral damage. The company loses millions. And your beloved girlfriend? She will become the most hated woman in Korea. Sasaengs will find her address. Antis will destroy her life. She'll never work in this industry again. He held up a second finger. Option 2. You deny everything. You say the photographs are fabricated, that she's a delusional sasaeng who's been stalking you for attention. We produce evidence of her obsessive behavior. We make her the villain. And you walk away clean, with your career intact and your members protected. You want me to lie. You want me to publicly humiliate the woman I love to save your bottom line. I want you to be smart. CEO Park leaned closer. Which scenario protects her more, Jae-sun? The one where you stand beside her while the whole world tears her apart? Or the one where she disappears quietly, unharmed, while the story dies down? Neither of those protects her. Both of them destroy her in different ways. Then choose the way that destroys her less. CEO Park straightened. You have until 7 a.m. to decide. After that, we proceed with option 2, with or without your cooperation. He gathered his things and moved toward the door. The other executives followed, leaving Jae-sun alone with the weight of an impossible choice. Derek found Jae-sun in the waiting room an hour later, staring at the wall like a man watching his own execution. What happened? They gave me an ultimatum. Jae-sun's voice was hollow. Deny her or destroy everyone. Define everyone. Eclipse. The company. Every person whose livelihood depends on my career staying intact. He laughed bitterly. They made sure to list every single person. The makeup artists. The stylists. The managers. The trainees who are counting on the company staying profitable. All of them, they said, would suffer if I chose her. Derek sat down across from him. That's manipulation. That's business. Jae-sun ran his hands over his face. They don't care about Zita. They don't care about me. They care about the money. And I'm worth more to them as a single idol with a carefully crafted image than as a man in love with a woman the public will hate. The public doesn't have to hate her. Don't be naive. Jae-sun looked at his friend with exhausted eyes. You've seen the comments. You've seen what they say about foreign women, about black women, about anyone who doesn't fit the mold. They'll tear her apart. And denying her will be better? Calling her a sasaeng, making her into a villain that protects her. According to CEO Park, yes. According to him, the scandal dies faster if there's a clear narrative. Crazy stalker fabricates relationship with idol. Idol denies it. The public moves on to the next drama. Jae-sun's voice cracked. And Zita? Zita disappears. Quietly. Without being the target of a sustained hate campaign. This will hurt her, Jae-sun. It will really shatter her, and she might never forgive you. What choice do I have? Jae-sun stood abruptly, pacing the small room. If I claim her, I drag her into a spotlight that will burn her alive. If I deny her, I break her heart, but maybe she can rebuild her life somewhere else. Away from this. Away from me. Derek was quiet for a long moment. Then, have you considered a third option? There is no third option. There's always a third option. Derek leaned forward. You could tell the truth and protect her. You could control the narrative yourself, get ahead of the company's spin. You could. How? With what resources? What power? Jason stopped pacing, his shoulders slumping. The company controls everything. They control my schedule, my image, my public statements. They have an army of lawyers and PR specialists and media contacts. What do I have? You have your platform. Your voice. Your fans. My fans are the ones threatening to kill her. Not all of them. Some of them would understand. Some of them would support you. And the ones who wouldn't? The ones who feel betrayed, who feel lied to. They'd make her life a living hell. Jason shook his head. I've seen what K-pop fans can do when they feel wronged. I've seen the hate campaigns, the doxing, and real-world harassment. I can't subject her to that. So you'll subject her to being called a delusional stalker instead? The question hung in the air, brutal and unanswerable. Jason had no response. Because there was no good answer. Every option led to Zita getting hurt. The only question was how much and in what way. I need to talk to her, he finally said. Before I decide anything, I need to hear her voice. At 2 a.m., Jason called Zita. She picked up immediately. What happened? They want me to deny everything. Call you a sasaeng. Claim the photos are fake. Silence. Then, and what did you say? I said no. He ran his hands through his hair, exhaustion making his voice rough. I told them I wouldn't do it. I won't lie about you, Zita. I won't let them humiliate you like that, but... But what? Zita asked. He hesitated. But they're not giving me a choice. They said if I don't cooperate, they'll proceed without me. They'll make the statements themselves. And either way, you get destroyed. So no matter what you do, I'm the enemy. I won't let that happen. I'll find a way. How? The photos go public in a few hours. Your company has already decided their strategy. What can you possibly do between now and then? Jason had no answer. And they both knew it. I love you, he said, the words feeling inadequate. I love you too. Her voice was steady, but he could hear the fear beneath it. Whatever happens tomorrow. I don't blame you. I know you tried. Trying isn't enough. Sometimes trying is all we have. They stayed on the phone until dawn, neither speaking, just listening to each other breathe. And when the sun finally began to rise over Seoul, Jason felt like he was watching the end of the world. At 6:30 a.m., CEO Park called. We've arranged a press conference for 10 a.m. The photos have started circulating on fan forums. We need to get ahead of this now. I haven't agreed to anything. You don't need to agree. You just need to show up and read the statement we've prepared. And if I refuse? Then we proceed without you. And your members deal with the fallout while you sit on the sidelines, watching everything burn. CEO Park's voice turned ice cold. Your choice, Jason. Be there at 9:30 for preparation. Or don't. But understand what you're sacrificing if you don't. The line went dead. Jason stared at his phone for a long moment. Then he called Derek. I need your help. At 9:15 a.m., Jason arrived at Stellar Entertainment. Derek was waiting for him in the parking garage, his expression grim. Are you sure about this? No. Jason took a deep breath. But I don't have another option. You could still fight. Tell them no. Refuse to participate. And let them destroy Zita without any input from me? At least if I'm there, I can. He trailed off, not sure how to finish the sentence. You can what? Soften the blow? Make it gentler when you're calling her a stalker on national television. Jason flinched. I'm not going to call her a stalker. Then what are you going to do? The question hung in the air unanswered as they made their way inside. The press conference room was chaotic. Reporters packed the space wall to wall, cameras flashing, recorders thrust forward like weapons. The Stellar logo hung behind the empty podium, blue and corporate and completely indifferent to the lives about to be destroyed. Jason waited backstage, his hands trembling slightly as makeup artists applied powder to his face. His statement had been prepared by the company's PR team, a carefully worded denial that painted Zita as an obsessive fan who had manipulated photos and fabricated a relationship. He'd read it once and felt physically sick. 5 minutes, Ji-young announced, checking her clipboard. Jae-sun looked at the statement in his hands, then at the door leading to the stage, then at Derek, who stood in the corner with an expression that said this is wrong and we both know it. I can't do this, Jae-sun whispered. Derek moved closer. You have to. You know what happens if you don't. But I love her. I told her I would choose her. I promised. I know. Derek's voice was heavy with sympathy. But sometimes promises get broken. Sometimes the world doesn't give us the choices we want. The door opened and CEO Park appeared. His expression was businesslike, devoid of warmth. It's time. He stepped aside, gesturing toward the stage. Jae-sun looked at the statement one more time. At the lies he was about to tell. At the woman he was about to betray. And then another figure appeared in the doorway. Shin Ha-na. She was dressed perfectly, as always a modest but elegant outfit that projected wholesome beauty. Her smile was bright and innocent, completely at odds with the satisfied gleam in her eyes. Hana will be joining you on stage, CEO Park said. We thought it would be helpful to have her confirm your relationship. It adds credibility to the denial. My relationship with Hana, your girlfriend. CEO Park's smile was sharp. The two of you have been dating quietly for several months. This explains your mysterious behavior and puts an end to any speculation about foreign women. Jae-sun felt the floor drop out from under him. I never agreed to this. You agreed the moment you walked through those doors. Now smile, Jae-sun. The cameras are waiting. Hana slipped her hand into his, her fingers cold and possessive. Don't worry, Appa, she whispered. I'll take good care of you. And before Jae-sun could process what was happening, he was being pushed onto the stage, lights blinding him, cameras flashing, Hana's hand locked in his like a shackle. He's really about to do this. Loudly crying face, he's about to betray the woman who loved him for 2 years. If you're angry right now, smash that like button. And type, he's gonna regret this, in the comments because trust me, he will. Keep watching. Zita watched from her apartment, her heart shattering with each passing second. She'd known this was coming. She'd known, from the moment Jae-sun told her about the company's ultimatum, that there was a good chance this would be the outcome. But knowing didn't make it hurt less. The press conference played on her laptop screen, Jae-sun at the podium, his face blank and professional. CEO Park's voice explaining the situation. The carefully prepared statement being read to a room full of hungry reporters. Pearl sat beside her, one hand gripping Zita's while the other covered her own mouth in horror. Turn it off, Pearl whispered. Z, you don't have to watch this. Yes, I do. Zita's voice was steady, even as tears streamed down her face. I need to see it. I need to know exactly what he chose. The photographs circulating online are manipulated fabrications, created by a disturbed individual who has been stalking Kang Jae-sun for months. This woman, a backup dancer employed by our company, developed an unhealthy obsession with him and has been attempting to manufacture evidence of a relationship that never existed. Zita watched herself being called delusional, obsessive, a stalker. Furthermore, we would like to announce that Jae-sun has been in a relationship for the past several months, but not with this individual. He has been dating Shin Ha-na, one of Korea's most beloved solo artists. The camera cut to Hana stepping forward, her smile radiant as she slipped her hand into Jae-sun's. She looked up at him adoringly, the picture of innocent love. Jae-sun and I have been together for half a year now, Hana said, her voice sweet and practiced. We kept it private because we wanted to protect our relationship. But given these lies being spread about him, we felt it was time to tell the truth. A reporter called out, Jae-sun SSI, do you have anything to say about the woman in the photographs? This was it. The moment of truth. Zita leaned closer to her screen, some desperate part of her still hoping, still believing, still waiting for him to prove that the past 2 years had meant something. Jae-sun looked directly into the camera, and Zita knew that he could see her, that somewhere in his mind, he was looking right at her, right into her eyes. I don't know that woman, he said. I've never had any relationship with her. She must be a sasaeng who manipulated photos to create this scandal. The words landed like physical blows. I don't know that woman. I've never had any relationship with her. She must be a sasaeng. 2 years of love. 2 years of promises. 2 years of I choose you and you're my home and I'll never let you go. All of it erased in 30 seconds of lies. Hana is my girlfriend, Jae-sun continued, his voice steady even as his eyes screamed something different. She always has been. Hana beamed up at him and wrapped her arm around his. The camera flashed. The reporters shouted questions. The world moved on. And in her small apartment, alone and destroyed, Zita finally let herself cry. My heart is broken for Zita right now. He really said, I don't know that woman after 2 years together. If you're crying with me, drop a loudly crying face in the comments. But don't worry, what he doesn't know is about to change everything. Keep watching. Chapter 5. The moment he destroyed her. The hours after the press conference were a blur of devastation. Zita's phone wouldn't stop buzzing, notifications pouring in faster than she could silence them. Her name was everywhere. Her face was everywhere. Strangers on the internet were dissecting her life, her appearance, and her very existence. Identified, the sasaeng who tried to trap Kang Jae-sun. The headlines were vicious. Backup dancers' delusions, inside a sasaeng's obsession. Kang Jae-sun speaks out against foreign stalker. Eclipse fans rally to protect idol from manipulative woman. And the comments, God, the comments. She's not even pretty. Jae-sun Appa would never admire such an ugly woman. Deport her back to America where she belongs. I found her address. Who wants to teach her a lesson? Kill yourself, you delusional B***TCH. Foreign women are so desperate. Always chasing our men. I hope she dies slowly and painfully. Each word was a knife, and there were thousands of them. Tens of thousands. An endless flood of hatred directed at a woman they'd never met, would never meet, and had already decided to destroy. Pearl had tried to take her phone away, but Zita couldn't stop scrolling or stop reading. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, horrifying, but impossible to look away from. Z, you have to stop. Pearl's voice was tight with concern. This isn't healthy. They're threatening to kill me. Zita's voice sounded distant, disconnected from her own body. Complete strangers want me dead because I fell in love with the wrong person. They're cowards hiding behind anonymous accounts. They don't know you. They don't know anything. They know everything now. Zita laughed bitterly. They know I'm black. They know I'm foreign. They know I dared to exist in a space where I don't belong. You do belong. Where? Where do I belong, Pearl? Zita's voice cracked. Not here. Not according to them. Not according to the company. Not according to. She couldn't say his name. Couldn't acknowledge that the man she loved had just called her a delusional stalker on national television. He didn't have a choice, Pearl said quietly. The company. He had a choice. Zita's eyes burned with tears she'd thought were already exhausted. He could have told the truth. He could have defended me.
And then what?
He could have been the person he promised he would be. At least we would have been destroyed together. Zita pressed her palms against her eyes, trying to stop the tears. At least I would have known it was real. That the past 2 years weren't just. She couldn't finish. The words caught in her throat like broken glass. Pearl sat beside her, pulling her into a tight embrace. I'm so sorry, Z. I'm so sorry. They stayed like that as the sun set and the night deepened. As the internet continued its feeding frenzy, Zita's world collapsed around her, one hateful comment at a time. At 11 p.m., Hana posted an Instagram photo. She and Jae-sun at dinner, smiling at the camera. His arm around her shoulders. A caption that read, "My love. Thank you for always protecting me." The comments were overwhelmingly supportive. Power couple. So happy for you both. Jae-sun Appa found someone who deserves him. Beautiful Korean couple. As it should be. Zita stared at the photo until her vision blurred. That was supposed to be her. Those were supposed to be their hands intertwined. That was supposed to be their moment of going public. But Hana had taken it. Hana had stolen everything. And Jae-sun had let her. Something shifted inside Zita. Something cold and hard crystallized in the space where her heartbreak lived. She had spent 3 years hiding. 3 years diminishing herself to make others comfortable. 3 years being treated like trash by Hana, like a secret by Jae-sun, like a nobody by the entire world. And what had it gotten her? Nothing. Less than nothing. A broken heart and death threats from strangers who had never even heard her voice. She thought about the other phone in her pocket. The Nova phone. The one connected to her other life. The one where she was successful, powerful, and unstoppable. She pulled it out and dialed CEO Park. He answered on the second ring. "I was wondering when you'd call." "You knew." "It wasn't a question." "You knew about me and Jae-sun." "I suspected." The photographs confirmed it. "And you still let them do the press conference." "You still let them destroy me." "I let them destroy Zita." His voice was calm, almost gentle. "But Nova is a different matter entirely." Zita's grip tightened on the phone. "What are you suggesting?" "The reveal concert. It's in 3 weeks. But given the current situation, I think we should move it up." "How soon?" "1 week." "That's impossible." "Not impossible. Ambitious, yes. But it's possible." CEO Park paused. "Unless you've changed your mind about revealing yourself." Zita looked at the hate comments still flooding her phone. At Hana's Instagram photo, still burning on her laptop screen. At the ashes of the life she'd tried to build in Seoul. "I haven't changed my mind." "Then we proceed." 1 week from today, Nova reveals her face to the world. And when she does, CEO Park's voice took on an edge of satisfaction. "I suspect quite a few people will be very, very surprised. I want Kang Jae-sun there." "Excuse me?" "The reveal concert. I want him in the front row. I want him to see exactly who he threw away." Zita's voice was cold, steady, and utterly unrecognizable as the crying woman from an hour ago. "Can you arrange that?" A long pause. "Then, consider it done." "Good." Zita ended the call and stared at the phone in her hand. For 3 years, she had hidden her power. For 3 years, she had let the world see only the smallest piece of who she was. For 3 years, she had waited for someone to recognize her worth. No more. She walked to her closet, pushed aside the clothes, and revealed the hidden room behind the false panel. Nova's costumes gleamed in the soft light, sequins and silk and theatrical masks that had graced stages across the world. She touched the signature mask, the one she wore for every performance. The one that had allowed her to become someone else. Someone powerful. Someone untouchable. Someone who had never needed Kang Jae-sun's validation to know her own worth. "You wanted a nobody," she whispered to the empty room, to the ghost of the man who had betrayed her. "Fine. I'll show you exactly who you rejected." She put the mask on and looked at herself in the mirror. Zita was gone, the scared backup dancer, the secret girlfriend, the woman who had let herself be treated like trash. Nova stared back. And Nova was ready for war. Yes, Zita. Clapping hands fire, she's about to show them all who they messed with. If you're ready to see her destroy them, type Nova time in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time because the reveal is about to happen and you do not want to miss his face when he realizes what he lost. 1 week later, the Olympic gymnastics arena hummed with anticipation. 80,000 fans packed the venue, their light sticks painting the darkness in waves of color. Another 50 million watched from screens around the world, their attention fixed on the empty stage where history was about to be made. 3 years of mystery. 3 years of speculation. 3 years of wondering who hid behind Nova's signature mask. Tonight, they would finally know. Backstage, Zita stood alone in her dressing room, her reflection split between 2 versions of herself in the mirror. On one side, the simple backup dancer outfit she'd worn a week ago, black leggings, fitted tank top, invisible and insignificant. On the other side, Nova's reveal costume, a stunning designer creation that cost more than most people's annual salary, all silver and black with crystalline accents that caught the light like captured stars. Her phone buzzed. A message from CEO Park. He's here, at the front row, center. Right next to Hana. Zita smiled, and it wasn't a kind expression. She looked at the mask one more time, the final barrier between her and the world. After tonight, there would be no more hiding. No more secrets. No more Zita, nobody. Only Nova. The show began. In the audience, Kang Jae-sun sat rigid in his seat, surrounded by the spectacle he didn't want to witness. Hana clung to his arm, her eyes bright with excitement as Nova took the stage in her signature mask. The crowd screamed loud enough to shake the building. Lightsticks waved in coordinated patterns that spelled out Nova's name across the arena like a galaxy of devoted stars. "Isn't this exciting?" Hana gushed, squeezing his arm. "The biggest reveal in K-pop history, and we have front-row seats. Everyone's going to be talking about this for years." Jae-sun said nothing. He hadn't said much of anything in the past week. Not since the press conference. Not since he'd watched himself destroy the woman he loved on national television while the whole world applauded. The guilt was a physical thing now, a weight in his chest that made breathing difficult, that made sleeping impossible, that made every moment feel like penance for a crime he couldn't undo. He'd tried to contact Zita. Hundreds of calls, texts, messages through every possible channel. All ignored and all unanswered. She'd vanished from her apartment, from her job, from existence itself, as if she'd never been real at all. As if he'd imagined the whole thing. But he hadn't imagined it. He hadn't imagined the way she laughed when he said something stupid. He hadn't imagined the way she looked at him in the early morning light, her eyes soft with a love that asked for nothing in return. He hadn't imagined 2 years of stolen moments that had been more real than anything else in his carefully manufactured life. He'd just thrown it all away. The company said she'd been let go from Hana's backup dancer team. They said she'd left Korea in disgrace. They said she was nobody important, just a cautionary tale about the dangers of sasaeng behavior that other fans should learn from. But Jae-sun knew the truth. He'd seen the surveillance footage from outside her building. He'd watched her leave with a single suitcase, her face hidden, her shoulders hunched against the weight of his betrayal. He'd destroyed her. He'd chosen his career, his members, his carefully constructed life over the woman who had made him feel human for the first time in years. And now he had to sit here, Hana's cold hand in his, and pretend everything was fine. On stage, Nova finished her opening performance, a high-energy dance number that showcased the athleticism her fans had always admired. The crowd's energy was electric, building toward the moment everyone had been waiting for. "Ladies and gentlemen," Nova's voice echoed through the arena, altered slightly by her usual voice modulator. "Tonight, after 3 years of mystery, I finally show you who I really am." The screaming intensified. Lightsticks waved frantically. The air itself seemed to vibrate with anticipation. But first, Nova continued, "I want to tell you a story." The lights dimmed. The crowd quieted. 3 years ago, a woman came to Seoul with nothing but a dream. She was told she didn't belong here. She was told her face was wrong, her skin was wrong, her entire existence was wrong. She was treated like trash by the people who should have supported her. She was hidden away by the people who claimed to love her. Jae-sun's blood ran cold. But she didn't give up, Nova said. She built something incredible. She became someone incredible. And now, tonight, she's ready to show you exactly who she is. The mask began to lift. And that's where we will end part 1. What do you think Jae-sun would do if he finds out that Zita is Nova, the biggest star in Asia? If this story had you screaming, do these things right now. Smash that like button if you want part 2. Comment, Pop Queen if you're Team Zita. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss part 2. Share this with someone who loves K-drama stories. Part 2 is coming soon, and trust me, the revenge is just getting started. Hana is about to learn what happens when you mess with the wrong woman, and Jae-sun? He's going to do everything he can to win Zita back. But will Zita take him back? Type your predictions in the comments. Will she forgive him or destroy him? Let me know. To be continued in part 2.